Pablo, how's it going, buddy? Thanks for jumping on. Hope you're having a great day.
Hey, brother.
Yep. All right. I don't want to waste anybody's time, neither mine. I'm going to go right through the entire presentation I have for you, just to give you guys context. We've been doing this whole agency thing for a long time. Behind the software, there's actually a real agency that does prospecting, trying to, we get our direct clients and all kinds of stuff, just like all of you out there. So when I was talking to Robin, he thought it would be very fruitful for us to put something together to give you guys context to some of the things that we do and have done over the years, okay? I'm gonna go right into it. I'm gonna click present so you could actually see the full thing. Now, I wanna just go over a couple of different items to give you guys context to what exactly I'm talking about. Some of you guys are familiar with how to, package up your agency the right way with the services and things like that. I want to just give you guys context to how we do this, okay? Typically, when you get on an intro call, here's the type of answers that a lot of you face, right? Hey, could you just email me more info, right? How much is it? Who are you again? Sorry, I'm not that interested at the moment. And if you get tired of these messages, I've got something special here for you where we're going to go over the sales scripts that we've been using for a long time. Before I go any further, are you guys hearing the ding, the ring sound while somebody's entering the room, or is that just me? So can somebody verify that? Let me just
It's just you.
I think that's just you.
That's just you.
that just me?
Just
Okay,
you.
Well, that's going to be annoying, but we're going to go right through this, okay? Couple of things. Are you guys familiar with this at all? Do you ever get on an intro call or somebody reply to your cold email approach or a cold call and they're just trying to figure out who it is and you're just kind of stuck and you're just like, hey, listen, I have something for you. I know I can help you, but I had to take you through this journey for me to show you. How many of you guys come across these types of things quite often?
No, that never happens, man.
Never. They buy
Right.
on the first ring. Every time they pick up the phone, they buy right away.
Thanks for that, Sven. I've got my dedicated fans here. I appreciate it, man. Quite often, literally 80% of the time, you're gonna get a no in the agency world when you're doing cold approach. I want to give you guys context to a couple of different things, right? This script that I'm gonna share with you, it's worked for rush packs, okay? What are rush packs, right? Rush packs are actually pre-bundled lead generation packages we already have and we've already built over the years. And if you go to Marketplace, those are now available to you as well at a very low cost, just so you know. And don't worry, I'm not going on a pitch about rush packs. I just want to give you context to what exactly this script is going to work and not work for, okay? These are niche specific bundles. Typically when we do these rush packs, they're layered up as 3 primary campaigns. So essentially, depending on the niche that you're in, for example, like solo, right? You may not have different low, mid-ticket, high-ticket offers and things like that, like you would for patient rush. But in the solo rush, you would want something like 3 different markets, right? In the legal rush package, you would have possibly 3 different types of cases, right? So your 3 primary campaigns are going to be vary depending on which niche rush pack you are talking about, but I just want to give you a full generic context to the rush packs. These are lead generation packages that we can run for you, and there's no traffic bias, which means within the package, we can have a Facebook campaign, Google campaign, Instagram campaign, and you can be the all-in-one source for your clients without having to have multiple different people doing that for you. There's 2 different options, basic and premium, right? And it's totally complete A to Z lead generation fulfillment with our own agency. So now I'm done telling you about the rush packs. I just want to give you a context to when to use the sales script that I'm going to show with you, okay? Now, let's talk about the patient journey, okay? And some of you that are in the sales world, some of you that's been doing this whole agency thing for a very long time, you have a lot of context to this, but I just want to refresh your memory. And for those of you that are probably maybe brand new in the agency world, I want to give you a foundational framework of how a prospect really comes through your systems out there, whatever you put out there when it comes to content or advertising or whatever it is that you do, and really help them through this journey. Okay, there's really 4 stages that I want you to understand. You have the discovery stage, you have the strategy stage, you have a transactional stage, and you also have a consultative stage, right? Today, on this whole presentation that I put together for you guys, I am only going to focus on the transition between discovery and strategy. Okay, you guys with me so far? I'm not going to talk about the demo itself. I'm not going to talk about your offer strategies and how you land and close the clients. I'm not going to talk about account management and consulting on how to keep them long term. My only focus today is to help you identify what you have to do to take them from an intro call to an actual demo. You guys with me so far? Anybody really excited to just get this rolled out? Okay, awesome. Now, the discovery stage, right? A couple of things you want to consider when it comes to the discovery stage. Let's see, I've got 2 people that chatted. I've already got people asking me for the downloadable script. You're gonna have to wait for 20 minutes until I'm done with this. I actually have something even better for you guys. We'll put that into the group, but please be patient. I want you to really understand the engineering behind the psychology on this, okay? The discovery stage consideration, right? 2 things. It's a whole different ballgame to talk to somebody that came from a cold outbound effort versus inbound, right? So when you're running paid ads, for those of you that are running massive amounts of paid ads to generate new clients, the angle that you talk to them, your approach is going to be slightly different. Where cold, let's say you have a ton of VAs, curating 50, 60 different accounts, email accounts, and they're just blasting 500, 600 emails a day, getting cold replies, and then you're taking them over to the journey, right? The biggest difference between the cold and the inbound is earning your credibility before you start taking that authoritative frame. Okay, you have to really earn it. So in the beginning, when it's cold, you have to be very delicate in your shoulder-to-shoulder approach on turning that person into a qualified lead. Okay, you guys following me so far? Now, the next thing that you want to consider on the discovery stage is using positive presuppositions in leading and handling objections. So those of you that may be very familiar with NLP, linguistic programming, all kinds of stuff, I really don't want to go down that route, but I really want to help you understand the benefit of using presuppositions. So if somebody, let's say somebody tells me an objection, gives me an objection right off the bat, in the initial frame, right? As soon as they do that, my reply is going to be with a positive approach. Hey, I really like that you asked that question. Here's my answer, right? You start with the positive initial reaction, so you deneutralize where they're coming from, okay? That's what I mean. The next thing that you want to consider is listening for indications for stage change, okay? When you're in the discovery stage, you need to listen to cues and understand where they're ready for a demo. Sometimes you don't have to drag out your introductory call, okay? I have a 15-slide presentation here, and this is really just about a 5-10 minute call. This is not a long thing, okay? And I just want to really break it down for you so you have really good context to how to go about it. The fourth thing, the only objective on an introductory call is to sell the demo. That is the only objective, right? Most of us go into other things during the intro call, and that's a huge mistake. Do not go into pitching your service. Do not talk about what you could do, what you can do. Your only intention is to take them from the phone call to the demo. Now, let's get a bit more advanced here. In your intro call, one of the things that I look for is the type of learner they are. And I know I've talked with some of you about this. I think in the industry, it's called the VAK or something like that, right? It's really visual, kinesthetic, and auditory. And what you're really trying to do is understand how do they absorb information. If I were to sit with you for an hour, what is the style of your absorption, right? And how you're receiving the content, right? So if they tell you things like, oh, I see what you're saying. Now you can really dig deep and figure out, are they a visual learner, right? Right? Auditory, hey, I hear what you're saying. This makes sense, right? That's when you know that's how they really absorb the content. And these are things that you want to really, really look for. Kinesthetic, hey, how do you feel about this, right? And what this allows you to do is really figure out where in the world that lead or that prospect truly is and how they can take in information, what they will do with that information, and whether you can actually help them make a decision off that information that they learn, okay? Now, here's the framework of the call, okay? In that 10-15 minute call that I'm talking to you about, this is the framework we follow over a long time. Open handshake, staging, the motive behind things, the landscape of their business, the bridging the solution, and assumptive close. I'm going to go through details of how this is, just so you guys know, guys. And I'll actually go through the script and practice with you one time, just so you know. I'm just giving you full context to the framework first. Then I can show you the actual script through, okay? Open handshake. Here's how it would go, right? And I'm just gonna recite it with you exactly how my tonality would be when we're doing these. As soon as they pick up the phone call, I say, hey, it's Paulson Thomas. I don't say anything outside of that. I don't thank them, right? I don't say, hey, I really appreciate your time. I really, I'm grateful that you jumped on a call, because guess what's happening on the framework of psychology? Now you've thanked them, meaning you owe them something now, is what they subconsciously think. Now you've initially, right off the bat, given them some sort of authority, whether that you meant that or not, right? As soon as somebody picks up the phone call, I'll say, hey, Swen, this is Paulson Thomas. You stop and listen and let them just say whatever they're gonna say. Hey, yeah, thanks for getting on the call, man. As soon as they do that, they've given you authority at a very subconscious level, okay? You guys understand the detail of how I'm going through with this line by line, okay? Now, the next thing I do is, let me go back. Okay, next thing I do is, hey, I'm excited that we're able to jump on a call together. How did you get into this business? You notice I don't waste time about the weather. I don't waste time about sports. I don't waste time about their location. None of that stuff. As soon as I get into an intro call, I want them to know I'm about the business, and that's why we're on this call, right? You didn't pay me to educate you on a consulting call to teach you what you should be doing on marketing. You signed up for a call to help you figure out your business problems, right? So as soon as right off the bat, I try to take a frame of control of some kind, and you want to be the one asking the questions, right? So let me go through with this, right? Listen for green and red cues and write this down. Let me tell you guys something that may be struggling on sales. The number one thing you can do is write, okay? As soon as you practice and do a lot of these in repetition, you want to write this down. And when I'm on a Zoom call with them or even an intro call, I tell them, hey, listen, let me just go ahead and write this down while you're telling me your story. I let them know that I'm writing something down. There's something psychological about them knowing that you're writing things down, okay? So these are clues that you want to really understand. Now, as soon as the first intro handshake happens, you go right into staging, okay? What does staging actually mean? When I get on a call, I tell them what's gonna happen. I layer down the foundation and agenda of what this call is about, right? How do I do that? Here's how I do it. Hey, awesome. Here's what I like to do on this call. I wanna go over a few items with you regarding your current situation, exactly how people are finding you, your customer journey, a bit about your team, and also some goals and maybe some gridlocks that you're going through right now, and see if my team can actually help. If both teams are a good fit, I'm going to be even more excited to go over the next steps Sound good? You guys understand what I just did there, right? I took, whether I didn't have the initial control in the initial open handshake intro or not, I am going to for sure control the frame as soon as I enter the staging phase, okay? And here's how I do it, like I just mentioned. Once they respond, then you move forward. Until then, you wait, okay? The game of sales is silence. Whoever is silent the most wins. Whoever asks the questions wins. Whoever talks the most are a bit more vulnerable, and they're the ones in need, right? So if you talk a lot, and if you're the one 80% talking, you're the one who's actually in need of that sale versus the prospect. You guys following me for so far? Okay, awesome. Now, the next step in our framework of the call is the motivation finder, meaning with that in mind, so here's how I transition, right? Okay, sound good? So here, as soon as the staging is done, they tell me, okay, yeah, sounds good. Okay, with that in mind, tell me what's really going on with your business. What made you say yes to this call, right? And you want them to just start talking. You want them to really go through and understand all these pain points that they've had over the years. Now, as soon as they start telling you their pain points, you want to really dig deep and understand what those pain points are. Notice we're still on introductory call. We're not on a demo. This is an introductory call for the first 15-minute call to qualify them for a demo, okay? Here are some of the questions that I ask for every single pain point. What is ultimately stopping you from thriving with your business? Okay. What are some of the unexpected things that changed in your initial plan for your business, right? If they say something that's just random, like right off, off the cuff, I'll just ask them, hey, tell me more. And what did you really mean by that? Okay. And if they tell you any one of these goals, some of the things that they didn't achieve, I go right into something like, hey, if you don't make any changes, will you meet your revenue goals? Okay, and this is in the motivation finder stage or that phase of the call. As soon as they answer with something else, I go with something like, I know you want to scale this up, but could you give me better context to your current issue? Right, so if they go, let's say they find a ton of information about you, they read all your testimonials and reviews, and they don't even care, they just want to go quick and fast and just sign up. You actually want to slow them down and help them understand what they're getting into. So when they go into account management, you're not getting pushed back in the later stages, okay? That's why you really want to get this discovery stage done the right way. Now, there's a significant difference between pain and problems. Okay, a lot of us, when they go through these questions, guess what happens? They start telling you about their business problems. That doesn't mean they're telling you about their current pain. What is your current pain for this quarter right now versus your overall business problem, right? I don't want to know about your overall business problem just yet. I just want to know context, whether we can help you immediately. Okay, and throughout this conversation, one of the things that I want you guys to identify is whether you can find out their commerce style or behavior, meaning, can you figure out how they actually buy and sell? Do they go on Amazon and just click go and just go through with it? Or do they sit around and go through 500 different products and figure out which one's best for them? What kind of a buyer are they? What kind of a seller are they? And that's exactly how this is going to go. The next phase of the call, the business landscape. By now, let me give you guys context to where we are. Here's a framework of the call: open handshake, staging. You figured out the motive. Now you're going into landscape, okay? Open handshake is really introductory. You want to really capture your positioning right then and there on your frame. Staging is really telling them the agenda of what's going to happen on this call. Motivation is where you figure out what their motivations are to jump on a call, right? Business landscape is really when you dive into their business problems, right? By then, I figured out a motive, right? and I'm going to go right into figuring out more details about their business. And we're still in an introductory call. Remember, we're not on a demo call. Hey, so tell me about the bread and butter of your business from a clientele standpoint, okay? And right here, they'll start, this is where you can kind of lane them in. A lot of people will tell you, hey, I had this random customer from Dubai that flew in for my product or service, and we don't care about that, right? Or the 2 people that came in 2 years ago and they were great customers, right? We don't care about that. We want to know what is the engine that's fueling this fire, right? So tell me about your bread and butter of your business from a clientele standpoint. Now, what have you tried in the past to get your business out there in the community? Okay. If they tell you details about marketing, that's when you go into marketing language, right? So thanks for sharing that. Why wasn't it effective last time, right? What didn't work in marketing last time? Now, as soon as they tell you, by now they've told you their business problems, they've told you their current pain, they've told you a bit about themselves, why they got into this whole business. And right now, I'm going to get really, really specific with them, and I'm going to push on them. I'm going to push on them and say things like, hey, listen, when I talk to the top business owners in your space, I can tell you that the folks with the predictable system to bring people in through the front door are the long-term winners. Do you currently have a system for new customers? I mean, can you imagine what they're going through by now mentally? Like, they're just trying to uncover and figure out what they should have been doing compared to the other business owners, right? And at the same time, they're thinking about all the different systems they have in place, and now figuring out and find out and really understand they may not even have a customer acquisition plan or even a system, right? And if they say, and what they would do, honestly, every single time right here, what they would do is take the safe answer. Hey, listen, yeah, we're doing a bunch of stuff in the community. Most of our business is word of mouth. Even if that's not the truth, that's what they're gonna say, right? As soon as they say that, so are you comfortable with that pace on growing? Is that how quickly you wanna grow, right? Now, the last question I ask them right here is, how much of the market share do you still think is out there in your local community that we can capture in your area? Right? And you guys notice in my language, I say things like us, our team, we, to really, really hone in on a shoulder-to-shoulder approach. If you say something like, let me tell you what I can do for you. If you take on that approach, you're going face-to-face with them. And it can be very combative without you even knowing, okay? So you want to really take on the approach of us, we, really plural, okay? Now the next part of the sales script is bridging, right? Now by now you've listened to really everything that you need to know. You just really want to hone in on numbers, okay? Numbers is where you have to really, really, really make them feel vulnerable in a comfortable way, right? You don't want them to have to dig in too much. This is like a very slippery slope right here, right? And because of that, I always lead with the volume question. I don't ever go in and jump in and say, how much are you making monthly? Where do you want to be, right? I go with the volume first so they understand where my context is, right? So right here, I'll say, hey, business owner, let's dive into the numbers a little bit. From a volume perspective in a steady month, what is it like? Okay, where should your volume be at? So based on their desire, based on what they want to do in business, they're going to tell you something that's very, very interesting here. They're going to say something like, hey, listen, we've got about 100 customers on a monthly basis, but we should be at 120. That doesn't make sense. Or they'll say something like, yeah, we should be at 250, right? And you want to really qualify their pain here. They will tell you from how far they're off to where they are and really expose their real pain behind marketing, okay? Now, the next phase is the revenue question. I'll ask them something like this. From a revenue perspective, where are you monthly? well, we're not doing too bad. We're right around 20 to 30K. Okay, great. Where should it be on a great month? Right? Well, I know competitors that are doing 50, 60K, or if they say something like, well, we should be at 35K, that doesn't make sense. Their pain is not big enough. You haven't, at that point, if they tell you something that's very like abnormal like that, that just tells you that you haven't dug deep enough to their pain point. Maybe revenue is not even a pain point for them, right? You have to really uncover and go back. You want to go back to Motivation Finder and work through those questions again immediately on the call. So the way you would do that is like, hey, looking at my notes, what you told me that's ultimately stopping you is this, right? You can go back to these questions anytime within the context of the call. Now, as soon as they tell you, by now you know where they are on their customers, you know where they are on their revenue. And the next thing I would do is pre-qualify them and give them the idea of destination, right? By now we're talking about transportation. Now I'm gonna move them into destination. So I do something like this. Hey, once we put together a game plan for you and our relationship becomes very fruitful together, where would you like your revenue numbers to be by the end of this year? Okay, you see how I took their current goal and opened it up to their annual goal, and then I'll figure out what their 1 or 2 year goal is later on down the line. Now, here's something that I want you guys to pay attention to when you really understand their volume and also revenue. So Sven, you're right there, right? If I come and tell you, hey, you're already doing 50K a month, right? And I come in and tell you, hey, I have a great system. I want to take you to $600,000 a month. Now that's a huge gap of a jump, right? That doesn't make them feel any comfortable. They're like, either you're really spammy, or you don't know what you're talking about, or you don't know enough about my industry for you to be very unreasonable like that, or it just is too far-fetched of a goal, right? So that's why I have that middle context where I say, where should you be at, right? So let's say, Swen, you're doing 50K a month right now. Where should you be at? And you'll say something like, you know what, I should be at 100, right? And I'll say something like, hey, listen, honestly, working with other people, you should be at 150 to 200K a month, right? So now let's get you to that 100 first, and then go to the next thing. So instead of going from goal A to C, you want to frame them with A, B, and C, okay? So that way your goals, maybe you guys crush it, right? Some of you marketing agencies that are in our high-level community, I know you guys are really top solid agencies. You guys can crush it out of the wazoo and 10x a client. I know that. But for them, that's unfamiliar territory. They're not used to spending $10,000, $15,000 on a marketing budget to get 60, 70 back. Like, they're just not used to it yet. So that framework of how you bridge them needs to be very subtle, okay? Now, here I go back to my VAK, my visual, auditory, and kinesthetic approaches in how I transition or how I probe, right? So let me give you an example. If they tell me, if I figure out that they are a kinesthetic absorber by now, right? My line is going to be like this. Hey, listen, what makes me feel really good about this is that you have good grasp on your numbers, right? Let's try a visual, right? Let's try a visual. What I see here and what makes me, let's see, what was the visual that I was thinking about? What looks good to me about this is that you have a good grasp on your numbers, right? If they're auditory, you could do something like, from what you're telling me, here's what's good about this. You have good grasp on your numbers. You guys get what I'm saying, right? Like, I'm just coming off the cuff on different examples on a VAK, but you really want to cater to their learning style in your transitions. So now the next step is really assumptive close, right? That's the last stage of the script. But here's how you would transition, right? So from what you're telling me, you're at 50,000 and you want to be at 100,000. What is really stopping you? You notice this is a repeat question, right? Because what I want them to do is make them feel comfortable that they've told me everything I need to know. I don't want them to feel like I'm rushing through this whole introductory call. I want them to understand that I actually do care, which I do, right? And I want them to really know that we have the best interest for their business. So I do something like, you're at this number, you want to be at this. What is really stopping you? Now, as soon as they tell you what it is, let's say they don't tell you nothing is stopping them, and they go right into, yeah, you know, I want to crush it. Looks like I have a little spell check here. Sorry, guys. But let's say if we go to whatever goal that they set, whatever it is, some people will just tell you, hey, we want to be very aggressive and have, you know, millions of dollars done in a month, right? Maybe a corporate client of some kind. The next thing you want to do to capture your frame, your authoritative frame by now, is asking a question like, hey, do you have a business plan in place to make this happen? Right? And more than likely, they don't. If they do have a business plan, obviously they have a business plan that didn't work to prompt them to get on a call with you, right? So it doesn't really make a difference whether they have a plan or not. It's still not being executed effectively, okay? So bridging, the next thing is assumptive close. I'm gonna go through some mistakes that most people make on every single one of these stages, just to give you guys context just of what's coming up next, okay? Assumptive close is different than a regular close, okay? From listening to your story down to your business situation, I can tell you, so this is where you need to build some credibility very, very quickly, okay? Very, very quickly, and be very confident in how you say this and what you do. From listening to your story, business owner, down to your current business situation, I can tell you with confidence that with a few tweaks, we can reach your goal and honestly add another X amount or desire to your business. Okay? Now, I'm going to have a meeting with my entire team and put together a practical game plan for you and show you the system. Show you the system. I'm going to show you the system. That could change the situation for you. Meaning, I've got something to show them. Now, I'm framing that into them so they know that we didn't have a strategy session just because we're on this call. I just wanted to know about you. So this is like when doctors, right? When you go to a doctor, they listen to what you have to say and diagnose you before they write a prescription. And you need to be a physician right here and really diagnose their situation, right? So this is the transition I go through. I'm gonna have a meeting with my entire team and put together a practical game plan for you and show you the system that can change the situation for you. You notice I didn't talk about me and my system. That's a mistake a lot of you guys make. Hey, I've got this blah, blah, blah accelerator, right? Right? Whatever you call your program, right? Diamond accelerator, right? Whatever that is, that many clients have came through and we've done this, this, and that. Now you're talking about yourself the whole entire way. In here, you want to talk about them as if you're almost putting on a custom approach for them, right? So let's schedule a 30-minute video call so you can understand thoroughly what exactly we're going to do for you from a technical standpoint. Okay, let me open up my booked appointments real quick. You notice I didn't say, let me open up my calendar. I said booked appointments because there is a line waiting outside for me. That's my frame. You're gonna sit in my lobby and wait out there until I'm ready for you. That's my framework and when I'm thinking about this, right? And because of that, I let them know, hey, let me open up my booked appointments real quick while it's loading. Are there any other partners or decision makers we should have on the demo call? Also, you would want to be in front of a computer to be able to see the full system. Notice I didn't ask them. I didn't say, hey, do you think you'll have time tomorrow? Do you think you can get in front of a computer? Can you make sure you get everybody through? Like, I don't take on that approach. I tell them what they need to be doing to make this work, right? It's very, very authoritative, right? So let me just go through this real quick. Hey, let me open up my booked appointments real quick while it's loading. Listen, are there any other partners, decision makers? Okay, cool. No. Also, you would want to be in front of a computer and to be able to see the full system, just so you know. I don't care. It's for you, right? Repeat the scheduling times 3-4 times, okay? As soon as they say, hey, to Monday at 9 o'clock, hey, so I have you down for a Monday at 9 o'clock. I'm gonna get my team ready. You make sure your team is ready. Let's see if it's a good fit. You wanna assume. Guess what? They've already spent 8-9 minutes with you. They're still on the call. Why would you ask for a close to go from discovery to strategy stage? You want to assume as hard as you can that they still want to know more about the technical standpoint, okay? Now, let me unmute everybody. Thanks for listening to my rant. I know this is super, super helpful and insightful. If you guys want to jump in, give me some takeaways. What are some of the biggest takeaways before I go through the next session or the next portion of it? What were some of the biggest takeaways for you?
That's here. I have a question. In terms of what do you do when a prospect over talks and takes too much time and it goes into like mega stories about their background and we're pushed for time, it's rolling on and on and on. That's happened to me quite often. Like, how do you take back control to get the data points you need?
So here's the thing. How did you lose control in the first place?
Probably, after, for example, after I asked the first question, they would just go on a spiel or rant and not end, and not allow me the moment to actually take back control.
Right. So Francis, I'm gonna tell you, they behave how you allow them to behave, right? If you're asking, so let's look at questions, right? Here's a couple of the, so you guys remember when you guys were in elementary, middle school, high school days, everybody loved, true, false question answers. Multiple choices were even better. What all of us hated were the open discussion. Let me mute everybody while I'm talking. Right? The multiple choices are easy, right? And what really, in the sales framework, what you really want to do is only have open discussions, open forum questions. Hey, are you doing good? Yeah. That's useless, right? I don't want yes and no's. I don't want anything around that. I want them to open up at the end of the day and show some sort of vulnerability. If they don't show you any vulnerability, they don't trust you at all, right? So Francis, that first question, if they're doing that on the very first question, I'm curious to what that question is then. What is the specific question that makes them go on a total, lane of just talking?
Well, it could be anything, just even like, well, tell me a bit about background about your business. What's your biggest challenge at the moment? Just standard sales script type of questions. And just sometimes, not every time, I've just been derailed by clients that overgive and overtalk.
Yeah.
And I just don't know how to bring it back.
I got you. I got you. Sorry, I'm interrupting you. There's a little bit of a lag. But what I'm going to do is go over common mistakes of how this happens, okay? Any other takeaways? What were some of the biggest takeaways that somebody want to jump in and share? Swen, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, I have some. I think it was amazing how you showed us frame control, right? You stay in control, and you even have incorporated NLP elements in there, right? With the presuppositions and that type of all Cialdini marketing, you appealing, keeping it all together because you want to stay in control. If you let them go off on a tangent, then you always have to reel them in and all this stuff. So you are the entire time during the ladder that you showed in control of the frame every single time.
Right. I love that. I want to also add something to that. Let's say you come across a prospect that's just very alpha and you can tell they have to have control. You assume control if you give them permission for control, right? Hey, Swen, I'm going to let you lead here. Go ahead. the guy that gave permission is still in control. So even if you come across somebody that's just like super alpha, because remember, some of you guys that I'm selling to once in a while, you guys are sales organizations, and I'm still selling you by giving you control, right? And that's a true confession here, right? But it's because I recognize your comfort zone of where you are, right? So let me go back to my slides here. Any other takeaways that you guys want to add on? I've got like 3 more slides to show you some common mistakes that gives you some framework. And by the way, I've got a beautiful PDF with the entire script all the way through that we can review that you guys would have. Now, here's the collateral that I'm going to ask. I need some testimonial videos. I need some testimonial videos for Go High Level, our marketing services that Chase put out there. If you put a testimonial video in there, I'll send you the downloadable version of PDF. Is that fair?
Awesome.
You guys have been doing this for a long time, and we need more social proof anyway. So at least on this call, I can achieve that. Any
Paulson,
other?
I have a question.
Rich, you're not driving, right, buddy?
No, I'm parked.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I really liked how at the end of your presentation just now, or that part of the presentation, how you led their comfort level, or you led their attention with the different submodalities, right? The visual, the auditory, and really knowing what type of person they are. So I have a question, and a lot of sales people and different consultants and coaches and everything, they say only do it on the phone. If you bring in, share screening and showing them your ad account or showing them all this stuff, it can be confusing, right? There are many people who believe that keeping it to the phone is a great way to keep their focus and a great way to convert a sale or whatever it's doing. Mm-hmm. But I found in the last few months, and I'm trying to get away from it, if you would agree I should get away from this, is that we've closed way more sales, like 10x, like 40, 50 more people by doing a share screen, actually showing them what it is we do. And it's like a live case study, because we'd be showing them other things in current time, not some old case study. But so would you recommend you go just, the phone, or because some people are visual, so.
So here's the thing. It's not about the medium, right? That is almost irrelevant, right? If I sit with somebody and close them, it doesn't matter, right? If I take them out on a dinner and close them there, the medium is something that a lot of marketers get hung up on, but it's the phase of when you use which medium, right? Introductory call, it's on the phone. I don't need to jump on a Zoom call for introductory call, right? It's on the phone. If I do a demo, I don't do demonstrations over the phone, because most people don't have context to what you're selling. And one thing that most of us forget is we're thinking about $2,000 or $3,000 monthly. Oh, let me just get this retainer, deliver, and be out of the way, right? But you forget, not you specifically, Rich, but most of us forget they're committed to a $25,000 ticket, right? You have a 12-month contract, right? That longevity of a pain is what they're thinking about 90% of the time. Most of these business owners are not focused on your monthly retainer. They're focused on, man, throughout this year, I'm gonna have to fork up 50K for marketing. Their pain is not at the 5,000 you charge monthly. So you really, really wanna make sure it's a demonstrative strategy session, right? There's a few questions in here on the chat. Feel free to just ask all the questions on the chat as well. Let's see, Pablo says, yes, please share the script, video, and the video after. Thanks, bro. Yeah, absolutely. I need a testimonial from you, especially you, Pablo. I need a testimonial from you when you get a chance. There is a link that Chase has somewhere in the group. Find it if you don't mind. And Melissa Blair, she's asking, Paulson, this is great. Do you use a pre-qualification survey before you let them book a call? Is it better to get them to tell you the information on the call, or asking some of this in a survey so you avoid meeting with people who are not fit? Okay, so let's go through that, right? Inbound versus outbound. How many surveys are you gonna get on an outbound? Not that many, right? It's gonna be a done with you approach, shoulder to shoulder. Let me fill this out with you, right? If you're running, let's say, top solid Google AdWords and YouTube ads for your agencies, and you got some really qualified qualified people coming in, then it makes sense for them to go through a survey, some sort of qualification, if you are already facing a volume problem on your calendars. If you don't have a volume problem on your calendar, right, or your sales individuals don't have a volume problem, I want them to just go through repetition. I don't want them to, you know, have like a dedicated, like a financial report by the time I get on a call, right? So it depends on context to where that traffic is coming from, Melissa. But typically, no. If they say yes to an intro call, that's enough of a qualification to figure out then. So here's another thing. Customer journey doesn't mean immediate sale, right? These people you want to build rapport with, maybe 8 months later, 10 months later. You know, I've had somebody tell me, Paulson, I had somebody come back on my Go High Level sequences almost 18 months later and sign up for something, right? So you don't necessarily want to go into an introductory call with the assumption that it's for a demo or a close after the demo. You have to really uncover before you even go down that route. Always, James Rivers says, always good to repeat things they say to confirm you're listening to and keep them engaged, right? Yeah, exactly, James. And also use the VA case, right? Hey, from what you're telling me, here's what I feel about this, right? Rick said, I get it. From what I can see, you have a great vision of where you want to grow because you watch some of your numbers so well that I can feel you have good grasp on your numbers. At the end of the day, it's not about one line item or not, right? It's just letting them be comfortable in that frame, right? Rich had another example on auditory. I'll take a look at it in just a sec. Can you give us the BOS link again? Yeah, I'll post it on, I'll get it from Chase. I don't know what it is. Let's see, what do you need specifically for testimonial? Any particular focus? No, I think Robin and Sean, they just want more social proof that we need for the community anyway. So yeah, feel free to talk about it. Nothing specific. Will you cover the strategy session and the demo? Good question, Francis, at a later time. Today, we're just gonna focus on the discovery stage, but we definitely will have some things planned out. Here's a link to leave a video testimonial. Oh yeah, James Anderson has it on the chat itself. It appears, so Ryan Hurst is saying, it appears this allows for several opportunities to disqualify them. Well, also disqualify yourself or your product or your service for a prospect. Some people want to work with you because they just like you. That doesn't mean it's the right time for their purchase. That doesn't mean it's the right, you know, frame of their business to say yes, right? This is when you feel the pain on account management. After they bought something they thought they got, and you're thinking you're delivering something else. You know, I'm sure a lot of us went through those things, right? James also says, I like the booked appointments. Awesome, appreciate your feedback. Let me go back and share my slides here and do a quick review on where we are. You guys see my slides, right? This is what we talked about, open handshake. Can somebody confirm you see my slides? Yo. Okay, cool, awesome. Open handshake, staging the call, setting the agenda down, finding the motivation of why they're on a call, business landscape of what's happening on their business, bridging the numbers together, assumptive close, right? And this works for rush packs, right? For those of you that are not familiar with the rush packs, go to Marketplace. Go High Level Agency has pre-built, pre-bundled lead generation packages that you can sell to your clients and have complete A to Z fulfillment done. And that's what the script is for, okay? Just so you guys have context. Let me go through some of the most common intro call mistakes that people make. Let me unmute you guys so you guys can actually talk to me while I'm sharing this. Unmute all.
Like 3D scan your face.
Never mind. Somebody is not muted.
Who's that?
I don't know, but I'm gonna mute again so I can get through this real quick. So common intro call mistakes that happens all the time. Crossing over stages. Know where you are, know where that lead is or prospect is, right? I'm gonna go to the very first slide here. Let's go over the stages real quick. These are the stages: discovery, strategy, transactional, consultative, right? If on the intro call, if a prospect asks you, hey, so what do you guys do? Is this Facebook or something, like online stuff? What exactly do you guys do? It's not proper for me to talk about the strategy, right? So how do I combat that? I want to use positive. I want to use positive presupposition. Hey, I'm so glad that you asked that. I'm gonna go over exactly everything that we're gonna do for you as a team and show you on the next call, right? I fight back with saying no, not now, right? Let me go to the other common mistakes people make. Do not focus on your services on the intro call. It has nothing to do with your services, right? In my experience, there's only two things I do on the intro call. I sell myself and the demo itself. Meaning not the actual content of the demo, but the actual appointment of the demo, right? The next thing, this is actually very, very popular, guys. People don't stage the call, right? What in the world does that mean? That means I'm gonna tell you how this call is gonna go. Hey, Rich, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing. Here's what I wanna do on this call. I wanna go over your business plan, your current situation, a little bit about your team, and really figure out if there are some gridlocks that I can unlock for you with my team. That's what this call is going to be about, right? You see how much control I took there just by letting him know what the agenda of the call is, right? And this is where, Francis, going back to your point, if you have staged the call, you can kind of lane them in on how long these calls are going to go, right? Let me give you guys another example. As soon as somebody jumps on the call, if they say something combative like, hey, how long is this gonna take? Right? Like you're getting ready to lose all of your control with that one line, and they're not even trying to take control. They're like, hey, listen, how long is this gonna take? Right off the first thing, you wouldn't even say your name, right? As soon as they say that, what I would do is like, hey, good, I only have about 15 minutes. Does that work for you? You see how I took control of something that they were just literally on the edge for, right? And you want to be, and this is going to come with practice, guys. Just so you know, I've been doing this for a minute. Well, a lot of you guys are starting up. You want to go with practice and really, really have repetition. Write down notes. Listen to your calls, right? Be brutal with your own standard. I'm telling you, you'll get better. Okay. The next common mistakes most people make is lack of niche specific language. This is one of the best ways to get control and grab authority on a conversation. Can someone tell me what niche they're in right now or which rush packs that they're looking at?
Real estate.
Real estate. So if like, I don't do a whole lot on real estate, just so you know, right? So if I don't know anything about it and I'm trying to prospect, here's the type of language I would do. Hey, I really don't want this to be an open house. I just want to have a quick call with you and go over your items. How much do you think I know about real estate with that line, right? I don't need to know. But my language usage instantly gives me authority, right? If I'm looking at patient rush, right, for medical, right, what would I say? Hey, honestly, doc, what are the cases that you're looking for right now? I know the term cases is what we're looking at, right? If I'm trying to figure out what kind of an MD they are, what kind of a physician they are, hey, what's your specialty? What's your clinical specialty? Right? Right? If I'm looking at solar, for example, if I'm looking at solar rush packs, my instinct would be like, hey, which local markets and neighborhoods do you really like? Right? Do you have a financing plan in place? You see how I do enough research on the prospect's niche and understand what they're going through, right? Let's say, for example, I do something like, I don't know, machine car parts, right? If I'm talking to a mechanic, right? And if that's what I want to do, I'll use something like, hey, listen, I just want to go over the shop. I don't want to talk shop too long. And I don't want to waste my time talking shop with you because they're used to shop, right? You guys understand where I'm going with that, right? Now, the next thing is talking too much out of frame. A lot of times we focus on the script itself. We focus on this journey of the client and prospect, and we forget and we talk out of the frame. We're so focused on the presentation, we're so focused on the script or whatever you learned from wherever, and you're thinking about, oh, let me make sure I'm doing this right, right? There are times when people ask you for the sale and you haven't noticed it, right? They've given you some indications that they can go to the next stage, right? Now, here's another mistake that people make. Not being an assumptive scheduler. At the very end of a call, of an intro call, I never ask permission. I don't say, hey, Rich, could we schedule a demo call? I don't do that. I say, hey, let me look at my booked appointments. Let's schedule a time for us to talk with both teams. I really like using 15 because it makes somebody feel like I have 4 appointments every freaking hour, right? It's like, hey, 2:15, does that work for you? Right? Then the other thing is, the last thing is not being client-centric regarding the demo call, right? When they ask you about the demo call, a lot of us go down the path of, well, you know, let me tell you about my Diamond Accelerator program. And we've got 20, 30 clients on it. We've had several with testimonials, all kinds of stuff, right? And you're not really client-centric there. You're talking about yourself, right? What you want to do is, hey, listen, I'm going to put my team together and put a game plan for you, and I want to show it to you Monday at 2:15. Do you think they care about your program or your accelerator or whatever it is, or patient rush or none of the rush packs, right? We don't talk about and say, hey, we have this rush pack with our Go High Level agency that we can do for you, customer. We don't do that, right? We keep it client centric. What are some takeaways here, guys?
I got a question.
I'm welcoming all
Pulse.
interaction right now.
It's Mark.
And
It's Mark Rank. I have a question.
go for it.
So I know you talk about niches and maybe we're undervaluing the service. So for us,
Mark, where
Rank.
are you? Can you turn
I'm
your
sorry.
camera on?
Yeah. 1 second.
You're
bud.
good.
Right here.
I do this on the calls. When I do the demos, if the client is not on a camera, hey, listen, if I'm gonna be on camera, I need you to be on camera. It's framing,
Absolutely.
right? But
Absolutely.
Mark, I just actually want to see you. Don't worry. We're not doing any sales here.
No, it's fine. No, just a quick question, but so maybe we're undervaluing ourselves. Like, I guess, we looked at the platform as the ability to frame ourselves, in real estate, like going against like Follow Up Boss and Lions Desk and all those other proponents. And so we're framing our pricing in sort of a different type of module. Do you feel that we're undervaluing ourselves by approaching this system in that manner as opposed to say, hey, we're a customized service and this is what we do? You know what I mean?
Yeah, so going back to the context of this sales script that I've
Right.
shared with you, it's regarding rush packs, right?
Okay.
It's
Okay.
not about how you sell high level as your
As
own
a
white
whole,
label
okay.
SaaS,
I
right?
gotcha.
We don't sell high level ourselves. We don't sit around and tell our prospects, we've got this magnificent software. Let us tell you about this. Like, we don't do that, right?
Okay.
Because they're not going to know any better. And that sounds crazy from the high level team, right? But we don't want to focus them on transportation. We really want to focus them on destination, right?
Got it.
So
Okay.
if I were to go, Mark, what do you tell me about your niche again, real quick?
We typically work in real estate
Okay,
and lenders.
lenders, right? So
Yeah.
if I want to just get them more applications and closes, that's where my focus is going to be. It's not about the CRM, right? If
Okay.
you paid me $10,000 to hit a hammer somewhere, it's not about the hammer. you're paying me for the expertise of where to hit, not the hammer itself, right? So
I got it.
so
Yeah.
that's context there that you want to really focus on. If you guys have any questions on the chat, for those of you that don't want to get on the speaker, feel free to do
I have
so
a quick
as well.
question.
Yo, go ahead.
Hey, so I like what you're saying about not framing high level as the thing to sell. However, a lot of the service that we may provide and sell with those packs have certain functionalities that make it really good. Like in real estate, the ability to bulk text is like, you know, people are charging 300, 400 a month on a SaaS just to do that type of thing. So, you know, would you still try to put the software in there? Maybe not as your own software, your own SaaS, but something that you have exclusive access to. Like, hey, we're able to have multiple numbers and and you know what I mean?
So it's interesting that you asked that, right? Because this is a perfect example of a lot that I hear from a lot of you on how this goes, right? At what part, let me ask you a question, Rich. In which part or which segment of my intro call should I talk about the software? Would it make sense?
Right. Unless you were trying to strike a pain point of them not having exclusive access to something that could, but not an intro call. I agree.
Right. You see where you're going naturally with that, right? You're naturally
Right.
thinking
It's a
about your
whole,
solution. You know, us marketers, you know what we do? We're experts in so much technology. We hear technology all day long, right? Our behavior and our style of absorption is around technology. So it's very easy to go down the technical terms on an intro call, right? So you have to remember that. So discovery stage, strategy stage, transactional stage, and consultative stage. If your
That makes so
discovery is
much
not
sense.
done right, it's if you're on the discovery stage and you don't qualify them right, your consultative stage gets a lot of pressure. Crap, man, I thought I bought something else.
It does. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Thanks for
You
clarifying
get what I'm
that.
saying, right?
It does. It
You
makes
get
a
what
ton
I'm
of
saying?
sense.
Yeah.
I've done
So
it
you need
wrong
to.
for so long. So
Well,
so-
you're in the right place, buddy. This is why we're doing this, because I know we have marketplace. I know we have a lot of fulfillment abilities to do a lot for you guys in addition to the software. But it doesn't make a difference if we have all of that and we don't give you guys context to how to really scale your agencies, right? And that's the phase that we're entering. It's like, how do we help you guys become us, right? And that's the challenge that we got to face internally with, 2,200 plus agencies. That's why we're starting off slow with like a small group and going through these systems, right? In my
so folks,
intro,
sorry, not to take
yeah,
over the
yeah. Go ahead,
conversation too
Rich.
much, but I did want to connect that to a pricing question, because Mark also brought up, hey, we're undervaluing ourselves, right? If we frame it the way you're saying here, as it's not a SaaS, what is now? I guess it could be anything. It could be 5K, 10K a month. It could be anything.
Why would they get on a call with you in the first place, right? Why did they get on a call? That's where you start, right? They have a reason. They don't. I mean, how many realtors get pitched on a CRM solution? A ton, right? They're what is it, like Keller Williams got their own CRM, the other Williams
Boomtown,
have
there's all
another. I
kinds of
mean,
stuff.
there's,
Yeah.
I get it. High
Well,
level has all kinds of bells and whistles that makes the game totally different for you as a marketer. But when your client or prospects trying to learn from you and understand what you do, you have to show them destination, not transportation. I know I say that multiple times, but it's very easy to go the other way. Hey, listen, when we're on a strategy call together, let's go over those solutions, right? And here's something that I do on an intro call. If I feel that they're a bit antsy, right? They're like, man, I don't want to wait a week, right? I don't want to wait like forever to just get on a call, right? If I feel that they're a bit antsy, hey Debbie, hi Debbie, how's it going? Hey Debbie, remind me to tell you about my software solution that's just totally different than anybody else. And you give them this nugget, right? You give them this nugget, but that needs to have a persuasive piece behind it. It can't be just software. It needs to be like, hey, remind me to show you, Mark, what I did with Debbie the realtor out in Fort Worth, Texas, with the software solution that changed the game for her. Right? I personally don't recommend that. But if you just have to, at the very end of the call, you can do a reminder line like that. The reason why I don't want to do that is because now, going back to what Francis said, you just gave them a question to think about that they're going to go through, and now they have another question behind it. Now you go down this dig that you're trying to cover up because you don't want to talk about it until the demo, right? So you really want to be careful on anything solutions. So let's say James Rivers, right? James get on, he's a 7-figure agency owner, and he's talking to an 8-figure business owner, and he's like, in the business owner's like, hey, listen, what is it that you guys do? You know, are you guys doing Google ads or YouTube ads? What is this about? Listen, my time is very valuable to me. I just don't want to waste any time with you. Like, you guys have heard that before, right? Positive presupposition. I'm going to say, oh, great. I only have 15, 20 minutes on the demo call, but, do you want to jump into it now? Right? And you can go right then and there, right off the bat, right? And here's another thing. When they give you an objection of any kind, you want to combatively, you want to really take on a we approach, right? It's much easier to combat with a team. Like, well, I need to talk to my team and put together a plan. So you're not like solo going into battle, right? And even if you don't have a team, maybe you just have 3, 4 VAs that are just cranking out ads all day long for you. It's still an expertise those VAs have over that prospect, right? Our team, no matter how good, bad, ugly they are, we all have expertise that a regular client does not in the marketplace, right? So you have to take ownership of that frame.
Can I ask one more question? Sorry.
Yeah, hold on one second.
Oh,
Ryan,
okay.
go ahead. Ryan, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
Oh,
Okay,
no,
okay,
I
sorry.
apologize. I didn't see your hand right. So my final question, I swear to God. My last question would be, is it okay to say to the client, or when you're on this discovery call, to not necessarily talk about the platform, but just give them more value by saying that you yourself is like providing more of a customized solution where they're not like a number in the system with these other people, and you show value that you care about them and you are joining forces with them to help them like be partnered with their business, as opposed to they're by themselves, you're by yourself kind of thing? Is that?
Yeah, it's so interesting that you said that, because I take on the frame that they are a number. And
Okay.
it sounds crazy,
Okay.
but I have to keep that frame, right?
Okay.
The way you're going about it is, oh, I need to make sure that they know I know what I'm doing, right? You're still trying to build the credibility that you don't need to build, because right off the bat, the way you introduced yourself gave you the frame.
Got it.
Right? If you staged the call, it gave you the frame. If you use
Okay.
niche specific languages that you need to have enough resource behind it, right? Don't just write down a bunch of words that you're going to use in somewhere. Like, don't do that. But you're thinking about, hey, I need to make sure that they show up on the call, right? You're operating from a place of you need the sell. Like, you need the sale yourself, right? You don't need the sale, right? You're the expert, they come to you, right? And that's the frame you have to stay, that's the frame you have to stay at. And one thing I'll also add to that, Mark, is the way you sell is how you buy. How do you normally buy, right? Do you jump in and just go buy a car? Or do you just go, like, I remember my brother, like, if he were to go buy some flowers for his wife, he would go to 3 grocery stores, figure out a coupon, and get the best offer. Me, I don't have time. I got 10 minutes in and out. A matter of fact, put it on a list to just pick it up and go. It's not that I'm not emotionally, invested into getting some flowers. I just don't want to waste my time finding stuff and this and that, right? So the way you buy is how you sell, right?
Got it.
So let me take a couple of more questions. This is really good. Was this helpful overall? It's awesome, right? Everybody's
Incredibly.
nodding. Awesome. Ryan, let's do this.
If their pain point is quality of leads, on this intro call, do we talk about how that makes Go High Level or the white level service, maybe the Rush Pack, different? And so that seems like that's more of the strategy call. But if they're talking about their pain point is poor quality leads, how can you differentiate yourself from that poor quality lead generator I have right now?
Yeah, so let me go back to my slides here. The only marketing question I asked them, let me show you. Let's see. Right here, this is the only time on my landscape, on my business landscape phase, right? The third question I ask is the second question is, what have you tried in the past to get your business out there in the community, right? They should just tell you a macro level idea of what happened in marketing. Well, we had this random guy that came and scammed us. I hired somebody, they didn't do anything. You know, all these these very macro level things, right? You've lost your frame if you went down to the nitty-gritty detail of what really happened. If you're talking about quality of leads on an intro call, you're too deep in the marketing expertise. Now you have to really convince them why your quality of leads are better than their quality of leads. You see how that's not really, you're not even doing yourself a justice on how you can present that without a demo, right? You're going right into the strategy stage. Maybe not intentionally, but they might have been prompted to talk about it by you, right? So in this framework, when I talk about marketing, I very much keep a macro frame. I don't go details. And if they ask me questions like, hey, Rich, you know, what do you guys do? Do you guys do Google ads, Facebook ads? I'm gonna be fun with them where I don't want them to feel like I'm like this ruthless guy, right? I'm gonna say some random off the board stuff like, well, does it really matter to you if I sit a guy outside on the corner and hold up a sign to bring you business? Why does it matter to you, right? And they just bust out laughing and they're just like, oh, okay, all right, let's just hear what this is about, right? And I just keep it right there. I don't let them go any deeper than that, right? If they tell you details about marketing, you can go as far as, hey, why wasn't it effective last time? And you can try to figure out if they had a front desk, if they had a sales process, but you still want to be very careful of how you step in those minds. It's too early in the introductory stage. You want them to go back and look at everything you have, think about you, dream about you, think about you while they're having breakfast and lunch, go and walk the dog, and then afternoon when they're on a call with you, they need to be like very ready to go, right? And that's why you don't ever want, I personally don't like to go from intro to demo right away. You need to have a gap right there, at least 6-7 hours of some kind. Let them just sit for a second, right? And it's like the door. That door needs to open. You can't just let them in because now you look like you're the one who needs the sale, right? So to answer your question, Ryan, I don't go down that path. If they start telling me stuff, I'll just say, hey, Chris, you know, I really appreciate you sharing that with me. I would love to dig more into that on our strategy session. If they say something random that it's just like, hey, I did print media, did $10,000 and this didn't work in this zip code. Oh, great. Sounds like you have a great grasp on your marketing. Make sure you tell me that on the demo call. Do you have a piece of pen and paper? Just write it down so you can remind me. Because I don't have time to write this down, essentially, right? So you see how my framing is like just, I don't let it go, right? All the way through. And you don't have to be drinking Red Bull. You don't have to be super energetic and yada, 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 right? You can do this calm, quietly, like it's yoga. Like this is really psychology at the end of it all. Because you have to truly believe what you're doing is going to serve them. Whether you guide them through that or not, it's going to take them, right, to the right place. So really sales, guys, is essentially leadership. And how you lead is how they follow. Right? Either you guys are like really quiet right now or
Paulson, I have another
truly
question.
love everything that I'm saying. Go for it.
Yeah, so I love how you can be calm and collected and still position yourself in such a way that you're unattainable. Um, to make that to add to that, right? Would it be, should you be on that quick chat? Because it sounds like you should. It sounds like you want to be in their subconscious over those 7 hours before the demo call, but if you have someone else do the quick chat, like we have people in front of us who position us as the experts before they can even do a real demo with the expert.
Mhm.
Would you say that would you go to that, or do you like doing those quick chats and the demo?
So when you say quick chat, I think you're talking about the introductory call, right?
Right.
And what
That's
do you
what
mean
our
by
quick chat
chat?
is.
Okay,
So
and
that
when you say chat, is that chat meaning a real chat on like email, text, or something, or is it actually a phone call?
it's actually a phone call. It's a
Okay,
pre-qualifying call before they can speak to an
okay,
actual salesperson to get closed.
okay. So from what you're telling me, your question is, how do you position the person for the demo call?
Right. Should the expert be on the intro call? The expert
No,
who
no,
does
no,
the
no, no.
demo.
Never,
Okay,
never. There's no,
got it.
my hours on expert as subject matter expert is way too high for them to be wasting time on an intro call. You can have appointment setters doing that, or junior salesperson doing that, right? In a sales organization, you have four different pieces, right? You have the sales admin that line up the layup so you can dunk, right? Then you have the business developers. These are macro strategic thinkers that look at the entire marketing play behind that team or that unit. Then you have account executives. These are like closers, right? These guys suck at admin work. They close a deal. You don't even hear about it. You got to chase them down. Like that's them, and that's how they function, right? And then you have the prospectors. They're hunters. They go out there finding deals. So you have these four different divisions in a sales unit, right? And you can have multiple units on an organization, but this is how a unit of four should work, right? You guys understand what I'm saying? So to go back to your question, Rich, the
Is there a
sales
book you could
admin should be
recommend
doing.
Can you
on
repeat
that
that?
part?
Can you just repeat that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in a sales unit, in a standard sales unit, meaning a team of four, right? Maybe it's two people wearing four hats, right? Whatever the scenario is. The four hats are sales admins, okay? How many $50,000 workers are in a massive sales organization? A ton. Why are they there? That's where they want to be. They're not closing deals. They don't care about this whole sales rah-rah. They're happy to come in for their 9 to 5, go home to their kids and have a nice day, right? Those are your sales admins, right? Then you have business developers. Business developers are your MBAs, they're strategic thinkers, they're thinking about PR, they're thinking about running ads, they're looking at your whole ecosystem of cold email, blah, blah, blah. For us, we have rush packs, right? So our business developers focus on the rush packs. Hey, are we creating this bundle of rush pack the right way for each niche, right? And that's the type of roles a business developer does. The third type of person in the sales unit is a prospector. These are hunters. Hunters are not good at closing. Hunters are not sometimes even good at setting up the appointments. They find appointments, right? Right? So as an entrepreneur running an agency, you're actually wearing four different hats, even at a solo level. You're doing those four different types of activities, essentially, even though you may not notice it. But the fourth person is the account executives. These are your, suit wearing, cuffling wearing, Bentley riding, out on vacation. Hey, I closed the deal on cigars, that type of personality. They don't want to follow up with anything. They need to have layups, qualified leads with 3 pages that told you about it, right? And these are the type of personalities you got to run on a sales unit. You as an entrepreneur, you're probably wearing those 4 hats, whether you notice it or not. Maybe you have a VA running the prospecting, right? Maybe you got a closer that's running this. But at the end of the day, that's what a base level fundamental framework of a sales unit. And you can have an organization with multiple units, but essentially, where do you go, right? You need to identify what you're good at, right? not all of us are good at all of those things, right? I can tell you from a personal standpoint, Robin, I don't even know if Robin has been on here. He'll probably repeat what I'm saying 5 times. I am very good at business development. That's kind of my thing, right? I like that. I'm an MBA. I've got 2 masters. I'm a strategic thinker. I don't care to sit around and close deals all day long. It's cool, but it doesn't excite me as me taking an entire organization and changing this whole cruise liner to another direction. That excites me if I take a massive organization like that, right? Maybe in the early stages, that's what I focus on. But from a grand scheme of things, I'm just giving you guys ideas of where to recognize your strengths and weaknesses, okay?
Yeah.
Now, when I go back to something like RushPack, right? It's pre-bundled, multi-traffic bundle, right? So for like, let's say I pick a niche that's just like random, right? I don't know, tree limbers, right? Like tree cutters or something. And if I know that I need to have a Facebook running, I need to have, you know, a Google AdWords running, I need to have a YouTube running, or maybe I need to have retargeting in there, you can take a RushPack and just craft up the 3 different traffic sources, and it comes with full funnel management. It comes with the design, the creatives, the high-level sequences that our agency uses, all of it, complete fulfillment, where you can just go out there and close deals and not have to do any fulfillment, right? For those of you that don't know about that, go to Marketplace and check it out, because your fulfillment could be done with the click of a button with high level. I'm talking about agency services. We're not talking about us coming and setting up your Go High Level account. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about ads management, SEO, social media management, all that stuff, okay? If any of you have an active project that you're trying to get fulfilled, make sure you just go to my calendar, book a time. I'll help you figure out what you need to do, okay? But overall, the script that I shared with you guys is for lead generation packages in mind, okay? Let me also show you guys, go ahead and ask questions if you have any, just so you know. I'm gonna also pull up the script that I have prepared for you guys. Let me pull it up. Go ahead and ask any questions that you guys have real quick while I do that.
Paulson, you mentioned the calendar link to learn more about the RushPacks.
Yeah, speakwith.us, Paulson or White Label, whichever one. Let me just put that down on the chat itself. Now, don't get on the phone with me if you just want information. Go to Marketplace and understand it, right? And then have a question for me. It just makes life easier for a lot of us. Let me see, White Label. So you can get on the phone with myself, Robin, any of us on the agency side. So High Level has 2 different sides. You have the agency side and the software side. We actually do run a real agency, for those of you guys don't know, okay? That's where all these scripts and all these things that I'm sharing with you is coming from. I put that on the chat. Let me pull up the fancy Canva thing that I made for you guys. Okay, there you go. Let's see. I'm sharing my screen. So you guys see my screen? I have a PDF here.
Yes.
Right? I just made it nice. So it's literally open handshake intro, the staging, the motivation finder, right? It goes into the business landscape. It goes into the bridging. It goes into the assumptive close. And I also put down a couple of things to consider: selling yourself, not the services, the common intro call mistakes. So that's ready to go for you guys to grab. If you don't mind putting, if you don't mind doing a testimonial video for our community, our services, whatever it is, and just ping me on Slack. So if you don't have Slack, go to gohighlevel.com/Slack, and you want to be on Slack where you can access this live, and just ping me. I'll be able to send you the PDF, okay? Wow, we're already at 3:30, guys. You guys must really love me. Any questions? I'm gonna stay on for like 10 minutes. I know there's a ton of questions. I'm gonna stay on for about 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna jump off. I've got a couple of calls.
So I have a
Debbie,
question.
go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, where do we leave the testimonial? Is that at Boast?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I went ahead and just give us some kudos on the community, guys. Definitely appreciate it. Karen,
Yes. Okay.
yes.
I'm just wondering what your approach is for like follow-up phone calls where, say for instance, you guys are scheduled for a follow-up call and I guess like the prospective client forgot about it and then you're scheduled for the third one. And like,
Sure.
how would you like approach that conversation where you're recapping what you guys talked about last and then asking them like that definitive question of whether or not they're interested in moving forward?
Okay, so let's go through a usage case, right? Like Sean says, like, let's go through a scenario. If somebody got on a call with me, that's an intro call. That's not a follow-up call, right? If they get on a call with me, I'm gonna take them from intro to discovery. Where will I have a follow-up? More than likely, my follow-up is gonna be after the discovery stage into the transactional phase, right? That's where my follow-up is gonna be after a demo. If it's before that, then you need to understand that's an introductory call. Your follow-up process, right? It's not gonna be, you haven't booked an appointment yet. Your initial appointment is not booked. So if you're talking about what's happening before that, that's gonna be on your prospectors and how you set up your sequences and all of that. It doesn't have context to the sales script.
So it's
Does that
like
make sense,
after the
Karen?
first call. Yeah. So like after the introductory call, it's usually like 15, 30 minutes.
Okay.
And then like I would tell them like, hey, we reached our, like, it's 30 minutes. Like if you, and then this is the part where I change it in a way.
So I caught something. I caught something when you said something.
Okay.
It's going to be 15 or 30 minutes. That tells me you're not staging the call.
Well, this is just me telling you like right now, but like during the call, it was like,
okay,
yeah. So like at the like, for instance, like a 30-minute mark, I let them know that it's like, you know, like basically in a friendly way that time's up, but if you're interested, happy to talk longer. And that goes into like what you said, like your ABC, and then it turns into AB all in one. And then like we have that follow-up call where he missed it. And then so like we're having a third one. And like my question is like, how would you approach it to where, because I usually would do for a follow-up call to recap everything we talked about before and then go into closing them.
So tell me about the niche that you're serving.
Healthcare.
Okay, so let's say you get on a call with the doc, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're saying after the intro call, you don't have a demo, you have a follow-up call, or every once in a while when somebody says no, or they don't have time for it, or let's say they don't close into the next stage. You're asking me, what does that follow-up look like? Is that it? Is that
No, after they're already interested.
So if they're interested, you would schedule them for a demo, right?
Yeah. I guess like, okay, so this is the part like I'm confusing you. So for me, I didn't implement like that demo that you've talked about, which I should, because I think like definitely getting them onto a screen share is good. It's the part for me where it's like.
So where's the disconnect compared to what I showed you today of how it should be? What are you not doing?
I'm not doing the screen share.
Okay. Are you doing a phone demo?
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens after a sale? Do you get a lot of questions about the program after you close and they're on the introductory phases of account management?
After that, I quickly go into scheduling for an onboarding, which is usually the next day.
Okay. So I truly don't think you should just convert them over the phone. You need to have some sort of a visual representation. And I'll tell you, dealing with customers on the patient rush side, doctors are decision makers. A lot of times their wives haven't approved and their staff hasn't approved and the managers, the practices haven't approved. They just see something and they go for it, right? And they don't have a financial pain point. Typically they don't. They don't care about making any more money. They just want to see less hours, less patients, and have more bang for the buck every time they walk in,
Right.
right? They need to have bigger and bigger cases and do
Mhm.
less hours typically. That's their ideal situation. But what you want to do is change your model just slightly where at least a practice manager is seeing what you're showing. Now, if you do it the demo way, you wouldn't even have to have a follow-up call, honestly, right?
Okay.
Because now you're doing what you could have done on a demo on 2 or 3 calls because
Mhm.
they're not understanding and visualizing your program. You get what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
promise you, if you transition over to the demo, you wouldn't have follow-up calls like that.
Okay. I think like the part that's for this specific practitioner is very, I would say like a special case because of COVID, he actually laid off a lot of his team. So it's mostly just like him and like a per diem assistant.
Okay, so what's the problem? I mean, almost everybody's in that position right now,
Yeah.
right?
I guess like for me, my question is
Uh-huh.
trying to come back after like this delay in the middle of that missed phone call to gain back his like curiosity to move forward with me.
Yeah. So typically, even if somebody is a one-man show or a massive staff, or they have this whole COVID thing going on, it all at the end of the day doesn't matter that much because they said yes to an appointment with you.
Yeah.
Regardless of whatever happened, they have a reason to be on this call. Your full intention on the intro is to figure out why they got on the call and whether you can qualify them, and you just do that on a demo. I think you're going through like a 4 to 5 step process possibly to gain the trust of the client. Typically, from what you're telling me, my gut tells me you're doing an intro call, then you have a follow-up call regarding the demo or another strategy call maybe. Then after the strategy call, you have an onboarding call. And then on the onboarding call, you're having to essentially do a demo after they paid you to help them understand still what they actually bought, right? And that happens on account management side because of the full sphere of package that you didn't show, right? And that may not happen now, but at very high volume, you'll see that difference, okay? And then afterwards, then they, from a consultative perspective, when you go into account management, you're going to have to swim upstream on creating and building credibility and authority. And it's really, really difficult to do that at the very end of that sequence. You want to do it as early as you can. But I hope I was helpful in answering your question.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Thanks.
Let's see. Yeah, anybody else with questions? I've got another 5-6 minutes.
I have a
Any
question.
big takeaways? Any big
I have a question,
takeaways?
Paulson.
Go ahead, Francis. Yep.
Yeah, so what if, I get this quite a lot actually, even yesterday, prospects who ask to see or get an idea of expected results or perhaps, landscape analysis, like what can we expect for plumbers, what type of range, what's the CPC, all of that data. Which it tends to be quite standard for agencies, or very common for agencies, to send proposals and give ranges and that sort of stuff. What's a good comeback and response for that?
So where is the question happening? Which phase? Discovery, strategy,
I would say
transactional?
a lot of the time it'll happen before the intro call, maybe in an email as well. Or it will happen on the intro call itself.
So if they give you any kind of objection of any kind, I think positive presupposition and I answer. What kind of results have you got? Can you show me something? Can you send me something? Oh, great. I'm glad that you asked. I'll show it to you on the demo. I can't send you anything. Can you make sure everybody on the team shows up? Okay, great. Nice. I'll be there. You see how I just deflected their eagerness to go into the next phase? Right?
Yeah,
so in your demo session, it makes sense to go through all those items. On the intro call that we're talking about today, Your only objective is to sell yourself and the demo itself, nothing more. If you're talking about results and what you did with other clients and blah, 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 you're probably operating from the space of, hey, I need to build credibility with this person. And reality is you don't. They've already given you enough authority to jump on a call with you, right? They showed some interest to say, you know what, I need something done somewhere, right? So yeah, that, I hope that answers your question. Let's see, let me go to a couple of questions here on the chat. Feel free to jump in and ask. Rich asked, what book could you recommend for sales, for sales in general? Rich, you know, I think, you know, you have to understand what your strengths and weaknesses are, and do not waste time building weaknesses in life. I am the believer of doubling down on your strengths and just become a specialist at what you do, what you're good at, right? Ultimate Sales Machine by, I forgot his name. Ultimate Sales Machine. It's a red cover. It's a really, really good book on education-based marketing. Psychology, persuasion type of things are good. NLP is good. There's a ton out there, but I promise you, nothing's going to teach you like you can practice. No book is going to teach you compared to what you can teach yourself on repetition. If you guys are wanting to get really good at sales, just call people.
Hey,
Don't
Paulson,
even have agenda. Just start calling. Get used to being on the phone, right? And just break the barrier mentally, psychologically, that you need the sale versus them needing the sale, right? That's really the core of it. This is actually very easy. Everything I just showed you in the last hour is actually what we talked about a 7-minute call. It sounds crazy, but that what I should explain to you is the first 7 minutes of that prospect's journey. This was not about the demo. This is about landing the demos from appointments, or once you have an appointment, how to position the demo the right way. But any last minute questions?
yeah,
Let's see. Go ahead. Any one of you.
Well, my question is, you know, I've not previously used the Rush Pack, so how do I present a demo on something that I've not experienced?
I mean, in any specific case, set up a time with me. I'll personally go through any one of those scenarios. And I think, Ryan, you've asked this before. We don't have enough collaterals. We've only opened up the white label marketplace literally about a month and a half ago. We don't have collaterals just yet, but we are working towards it. I'm working with Robin on kind of revamping the marketplace from an informational standpoint, where it shows you, hey, this is actually what you get. These are the expectations that you can have on a niche specific, like, hey, these are the quantity of leads that you can expect on a Rush Pack. These are the type of offers that you see. So myself and Robin, we're working on that. There's a ton of things to do, as you guys know. But if you have specific scenarios that you're trying to get a demo out, just Slack me and I'll try my best to answer you as quick as I can, or get on a session with me. If you have, you know, Ryan, if you want to get on a session with me, that's totally fine. I know you went back and forth with me on the chat a couple of times, and I haven't been responsive enough for you. So just jump on a call with me and I'll go through the Rush Pack that you're trying to do, or whatever it is that you're trying to do. And pretty soon, hopefully in the next couple of months, you should be able to go to Marketplace and really understand the industry and type of results and what you can expect. So you can put together demos that you can just sell and really just have complete A to Z fulfillment done all the way through without, I mean, anything. And also there's a premium Rush Pack, which is account management and client facing. So we can actually manage clients for you as well, all the way through, without you even having to ever even have a call with your client. Okay, there is multiple ways to do this. And, you know, it sounds crazy, but in marketing, that's where we're at. A couple of clicks and they get fulfillment done.
Hey, Paulson, just real quick, one last thing.
Yep.
So just to recap here. So typically I always am looking at, like, even on our website, scheduling a free demos, obviously, and stuff like that. So just to recap, you're actually saying, don't do the demo first, be on a phone call first, and then the demo after, right? Is that the takeaway?
So the takeaway is really understanding different phases of the prospect, right? And
By being on a
understanding where
call
you are.
first.
Yeah, you need to segment the
Okay.
roles for a sales unit, right?
Mhm.
You need to segment what you're good at, what you're not good at. And you need
Okay.
to give them breathing room in between these phases. If you don't, when you get to that consultative stage and they're like, damn, I paid 5K, Mark took 5K from me. Like, that's the last thing you want to hear, right? And you know that's not something you would do. They just don't have enough education behind what they bought from you at the end of the day.
Okay.
Right? So you want to really go through and break those into silos for your journey. Like when we do our Go High Level Opportunities Board for our own agency, we silo on those stages, right? Our
Okay.
first stage would be X, Y, Z, like that, right?
Mhm.
The reason why is because it'll get muddied if you mix any one of those phases together, right? Well,
Mhm.
you know, this is supposed to be an intro call, but we're diving deep in, and then I find out you had a partner all the way through that should have been on a demo call,
Right.
right? All these little things will just show up. But let's see. I hope that was helpful.
Yes, thanks.
Let me make sure I answered all the questions on the chat. Habib says, if during prospecting by email, for example, we get interested replies, but with questions instead of a green light to call them for introductory call, should we keep the conversation going by email or ask for an intro call that we need to land the demo call? No, you always want to get them on a phone as quick as you can, off the emails, off the prospecting approaches, text messages, whatever it is that you got going on. There is something so powerful about a humanized approach. And I promise you, high level can't compete with that. No software can compete with that. No marketing can compete with me talking to another human being, right? So Habib, to answer your question on prospecting, take them off of the email or whatever system as hard as and quick as you can, get them on a call, right? Hey, glad you got on a call. Here's how it's gonna go, right? Capture the frame and go into the processes. Any other final questions? Oh crap, I have.
Hey, I just want to say I think the content you've shared on here is absolutely amazing. I've paid some big money to like hear exactly what you're mirroring, and the fact that you're giving this away for everyone in the group and for this call is absolutely amazing, because doing a 2-call close is the way to go from what I've been learning and diving deep on this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't have years experience on this. I have years experience on other things within the online world. But yeah, I just want to say thank you for this call. It's really appreciated, because again, I know a lot of people paid a lot of big gurus, big money to learn what you're teaching here. I know you haven't taken them through all stages, but you're helping bridge that gap for a lot of that. You know, when people are stuck at this beginning stage, it's a lot. There's so many moving parts to this entire building an agency, learning all the moving parts, getting this together. So I just want to say thank you. It's good, and it's always good, refreshing to be on a call like this and find those little golden nuggets that you've been sharing too.
Absolutely, man. I really appreciate the kind words. And honestly, it's not about me personally. You know, it's really high level as a community. What we want to do is just share with you of what works for our agency, right? Because at the end of the day, that's the least that we can do. You guys are all great community members and users, and you know that we work hard for you guys. We just want to go to the next level and really help you really scale your businesses the right way, right? And just really, I think Robin says this all the time, like all boats rise together, right? And that's what we want to do, and just really share from our own experience of what's working, what's not working. But James, you know, appreciate your kind feedback. Any last questions? Let's say, Paulson, the clicks have to be in the right places to get great fulfillment. Absolutely. Debbie says, will you do a class with doing a demo? Yeah, let's see if I have enough people asking for it, and I'm down to do it. We definitely have a plan to help you guys really get good as agency owners, right? So, you know, so those of you that don't know me at all, I'm on the agency side. You guys deal with Sean and Robin on the software side. I run the agency, and quite often Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, we do open Q&As like this, okay? You guys are all writing demos. That's hilarious.
Yeah, demo would be great. Appreciate it very much.
Absolutely. Let me talk to Robin and Sean about it. Maybe we'll put something together. But for this particular week, and I know we're coming out of this whole COVID thing, I want to invite all of you guys to really dive in to Marketplace and understand what you're missing out on, honestly, okay? A lot of people don't know about it, really understand the packages behind it. So even if you were to frame some packages yourself and you don't even use this, right? You have an understanding of how to frame your business, how to frame the services, and just look at it and really understand what are we offering, why are we offering it, and when are we offering it. But I was not expecting a 2-hour call on this, but I really appreciate everyone being here. Is there a link for Marketplace if I'm not on Go High Level yet? Unfortunately, not yet. What you can do is sign up for a 14-day trial for the software, and the 14-day trials have the Marketplace in there as well, okay? Thank you for your time. Absolutely, it's been exciting. I'm so pumped for you guys. I think the whole community is gonna have a huge potential. As you know, I really see all of you as top-level marketers. These are not the newbies of any kind. If you're using High Level, you already know a lot about marketing, you know what to do. And when it comes to a sales resource, I'm happy to help you guys. Business development, you know, resource, happy to help you guys in any way. If you leave a testimonial, message me on Slack. I will send you the PDF with the entire script. You can take it, use it however you want, print it on your fridge, train your sales organizations with it however you want. It doesn't matter to us. Obviously, don't publish it out there, you know, everywhere. There is a copyright in there, but use it for yourself, right? But I'm going to go ahead and end the call, guys. Appreciate you being on here.
Paulson.
Thank you, Paulson.
Absolutely. Yes.
Very much
All right,
appreciate
see you
it.
again soon.
Yep, absolutely.
Paul says nice to meet you, bud.
Yep.